Ladies and gentlemen, Ramis, Ernie, Hudson. Now, before we begin, we are short on time. I do want to mention that Ernie Hudson has a film showing at 10:30 right around the corner called Halfway Decent. So, definitely check it out. And since we are short on time, I know people have questions, so feel free to raise your hands immediately when you were writing the script. Did you know this is going to be a huge blockbuster?
I think we were so arrogant by the time we started working on this film. Yeah, we'd had an amazing run of successful films, and those guys were huge heroes from Saturday Night, and we'd done Animal House, Stripes, Caddyshack, Meatballs, Vacation. It was just one after another, and we knew we'd hooked into a big premise here that people would probably like. It's funny because Aykroyd said, when he did Blues Brothers, he said he turned down a lot of merchandising offers because he said he didn't want his face on every lunchbox in America. When we were doing this, he said, now I do want my face on every lunchbox in America.
Way in the back.
This is for Mr. Ramis. Earlier today at your panel, you talked about how a lot of your work has a deeper subtext to it. So I'm just wondering what you feel.
What is the deeper subtext of Ghostbusters? Well, I know what it meant to me. For me, the key was when, at the end of the film, when the Gozer, the Gozerian, takes whatever form we imagine, and I took that I took that very seriously. That we create our own monsters. The things we fear most are creatures of our imagination, and those are the things we have to confront. And the message of the film for 7-year-olds is that there's nothing you can imagine that you can't confront if you do it with courage, intelligence, and ingenuity, and good friends by your side. So that's what the film's about.
How excited were you about getting involved with this project? I mean, was it just a...
Well, it was kind of, and I say this with Harold here, so when I first read the script, it was the most amazing script I think I'd ever read, and I was so jazzed and so excited about it. And we went through, and then of course, just before we started shooting, the script changed. And it was like my ultimate nightmare, and I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you guys were at the luncheon, but Harold sort of guided me through that, and he was sort of my mentor, and in the strangest way, because it did change, and it was very hard for me to make that adjustment. But I think being able to do that has really been the key to my being able to survive in this business. And so I still think it's an amazing script, but it was, I made the joke earlier, I made a joke earlier about coming to Hollywood to be rich and famous, never realizing that you could be, it wasn't until I did Ghostbusters that I realized you could be poor and popular. And so, so it was a wonderful, life-changing experience on one hand, and yet it was, it wasn't everything that you made it out to be, but it's one of those things that you learn to live with. And so I'm dragging on. It was an amazing script. It still is an amazing script. My situation changed, but I'm still getting over it, actually.
I can't believe how tactful he's being, because what I think, and you just jogged my memory. What happened was we'd written some amazingly good things for Winston, and as often happens in a movie, the people at the top of the contractual heap, those with the most, getting the most money, look at those good moments and say, gee, he's got all those good lines, shouldn't I have those lines? And I think things got shifted over to Bill and Danny, that probably belonged to you, right?
No, it was. Well, you know, I mean, I came in on page 8, and then after the change, I came in on page 68. But it was okay.
Yes, sir. In the tie-dye.
How did the idea of Stay Puft evolve, and was it a different creature in previous drafts?
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was Danny's original creation in the original script that he wrote by himself. And it happened halfway through the movie, and then the movie got big from there. So, but halfway through in his original script, things were already going crazy, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the movie would have cost $150 million to make the way he'd written it. So Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was the best, we thought the best, funniest, most ironic visual image in the film. So we made that the kind of climax of the movie. Well, one of them, Slimer, who became his own kind of merchandising thing, Danny always thought of as the spirit of our old friend John Belushi, who had passed away. A messy, gluttonous spirit, kind of funny and a little scary at the same time. Yeah.
Now, originally, John Belushi was supposed to be the Bill Murray character, I guess. And were you always wanting to be in the movie, or did that evolve?
No, I didn't know it existed till John had passed away. Danny had a bunch of things he'd written for him and John. He revived it, brought it to Ivan Reitman and said, you think Murray and I could do this? And Ivan said, Ivan had read it. The characters were totally undifferentiated in Danny's script. You couldn't tell one from the other. It didn't matter. They were just instruments of Dan's kind of visual imagination. And Ivan said, could I just done Stripes with Bill and for Ivan? And Ivan said, well, let's go see Ramis. He could rewrite it and play the third Ghostbusters. So that was when Egon came into the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of embarrassing, but I've had a crush on Egon for about 20 years now.
Yeah, he's just a movie character. Well, Aykroyd, it was there was a mysterious blast in 1909 that leveled 400,000 acres of trees in Russia, and it's never been explained. Okay, yeah, so that was Danny.
So, Mr. Hudson, do you believe in ghosts? And we know.
Yeah, I think there's a part. I believe there's something beyond what we see. Thank God I haven't seen any. So even I got to tell you, I was at the hotel, this Driscoll, and I went to bed and I had this funny feeling, and then they had this photo of these old people on the wall. I had to take it off the wall and turn it around. So there's a part of me that I suppose still believes.
Yes, sir.
So what's ad-libbed and what's written?
Oh, a lot of things that sound really spontaneous are written, and a lot of things that sound written are ad-libbed. Murray's great. We did a lot of, ad-lib's a funny term because we're trained improvisers. There's something different about improvising. It's different from ad-libbing. Improvising, it's just writing on your feet, really, and working with these guys, we do that there's consultation. You just don't get up there and kind of wing it. We talk about we actually build speeches and construct speeches and lines together. Aykroyd used to say, because Rick Moranis was Second City, me, Bill, Dan, and Moranis had directed a movie, I directed 2 at that point, Ivan was, and all of us had written, so Dan used to say, 4 writers, 3 directors, no waiting. It was like we were always working on the script, and we would shape some of these speeches and lines as we went. We would feed each other lines or make suggestions to each other. So a good portion of it was finished on the set, but it wasn't just wild ad lib all the time.
Hey Ernie, I've seen shit that'll turn you white. It's all cool to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
I got one comment. The downside of that, William Atherton, a really fine actor who played Walter Peck, the EPA guy, I once I had lunch with him in New York after the movie had been very successful, and I said, "So it's great, huh? I mean, just being in the movie, it's terrific, right?" He said, "Well, I was on the street in New York, and a whole busload of teenagers pulled up from a high school, and they yelled, 'Hey, Peck!' And I turned around and they went, 'Dickless!'"
Ladies and gentlemen.